computer. And now we're very happy to welcome the Reverend Susyn Reeves.
And I am very happy to be here. Uh, Something that happens for me whenever I speak here is the opening song, the opening prayer, sometimes in my meditation, and today in opening, in raising the veil, I get new ideas about what it is that I want to share. And what I was struck with in singing Love is My Decision is that truth is our decision. And one of the aspects of truth is that truth raises the veil. It raises the veil between our experience on the inside and what we may present on the outside. And when there is that alignment of our body, mind, and spirit, when our words reflect what the wisdom of our heart is communicating to us, is revealing to us, then we experience a sacred wholeness, a holiness, when there is no separation, when I have the courage to be vulnerable, to express my truth. And I think there was a statement in your beautiful opening prayer, Dottie, which was, God is source of never-ending truth. And so I have to say that 2 or 3 months ago, when I was scheduled to speak today and I saw the topic, my first reaction was, yikes, what do I talk about? About truth. And then I calmed down for a moment because all I was thinking of was truth and lies. And I simply asked the question, what do I speak? What do I know of about truth? And that question was an invitation to my intuition, to God, to the greater field of life, to greater wisdom. So during the past 2 or 3 months, I have been living with what is truth. And then about 2 weeks ago, I thought, oh, now I need a title for this. And what popped into my mind, those of you who are close to my age will remember a TV program, a game show called Truth or Consequences. And so when I first wrote down the title, I wrote Truth or Consequences. But something kept me from clicking send. And what kept me from that is a more accurate title, is Truth and Consequences, because there are always consequences. When we don't tell the truth of what we know to be true from our intuition, from the still small voice, when we don't act on that, speak that, allow that truth to move through us, then we cut off, we block the flow. And it's ultimately the flow of love that we're blocking. And so there becomes a little part of us that we're keeping secret that sometimes gets locked away. And often in our lives, in locking away the truth, we lock love away. And I did that as a child, and I threw away the key. And I locked love away into a little treasure chest that was wrapped with a thick link chain, had a padlock on it, and I didn't have the key. And it took many, many years, actually many decades, for that treasure chest to open. which doesn't mean that I always have the courage to say the truth right up front. When I have to cancel a plan with someone, my first go-to is, what lie can I tell? And then I kind of giggle at myself and think, well, just tell the truth. It's not going to work for me today. I'm actually too tired right now. I don't want to make the drive up to Massachusetts today. I'll come a day later. But I'm struck by the telling of the truth has consequences in terms of, is somebody going to be angry with me? Is somebody not going to like me anymore? Is somebody going to take what I've said personally and start blaming me for ruining their lives because I've changed my mind or something has come up for me that I must tell? I'm just going to share a simple truth story that I experienced this week. Friends of mine were visiting from New Hampshire, and we went into the city to see the Van Gogh immersion exhibit. And my friend Johanna is awaiting to find out the date for a hip replacement. And so she experiences quite a bit of pain in her hip, pain that I'm familiar with because I had a hip replacement 2 years ago. And so we went to first we had to come from West Hampton into the city and then get all the way down to South Street downtown to see the exhibit. And our plan was to then go to the High Line, which I was really excited to see. And my grandson was in town. He was going to meet us there. And after about 4 o'clock, as we were leaving the Van Gogh exhibit, Johanna turned around to me and she said, I really don't think I can do any more today. My hip's bothering me. We've walked a lot. It's very hot. And I said to her, fine. We'll go home early. We'll check the jitney schedule. We'll go back home early. It's absolutely fine. And we were sitting next to one another on the bus. And she said to me, you know, it was really hard for me to tell you that because I thought you'd be disappointed. I know you wanted to see your grandson. I know we made a plan to do both things. And I was scared you were going to be angry with me. I almost didn't tell you. And, you know, all of these things are possible. I might have been disappointed. I might have at one time in my life thought, well, we had a plan. Why aren't we following the plan? And I turned to her, I said, I'm so glad you told me what was true for you. We can see how just that little, you know, in the full scheme of life, she could have just been uncomfortable the whole time by not telling the truth, wishing she had spoken up, and because of that, not enjoyed at all the next thing that we were going to do. So I started looking up quotes about truth. And the one that's on the announcement about the title of today's message is a quote that I learned probably when I was about 11 years old. You know how it's so interesting? What are the quotes? What are the statements that stick with us? And it's, what a tangled web we weave when we, I don't even, here I said, I remember it since I'm 11. When first we practice to deceive. And really, who are we deceiving? It's ourselves. We may think that, oh, now other people will think well of me because I didn't speak my truth, because I didn't say something that may have been upsetting to someone else. But we start deceiving ourselves. And when we deceive ourselves, there's a disconnect between our inner and outer worlds. Now, I want to be really clear. I'm not talking about holding up a banner for truth and that I'm going to now say every single truth that crosses my mind. No, what it means for me is I really need to think of how do I want to express this truth to increase the possibility that whomever I'm expressing it to will lean in, not necessarily agree, but will accept that what I am saying is true for me. That's truly what shared meaning is. Not that we're always in agreement with one another, but that when I express my truth, ideally we'll share meaning with one another. And sharing meaning with one another is about connection. And that connection is what creates intimacy, authenticity, and allows for vulnerability to have a safe haven. So, another quote that I love from one of my very, very favorite books, and the book is The Little Prince. The quote is, "It is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye." So I have to tell you what that quote has meant to me for decades. It has meant that truth resides, begins, is given life from my heart. And simply by looking outside with my eyes, I won't necessarily see the truth. But this morning, before I got on Zoom, I read this quote again. And this time I read it as, "It is only with the heart that one can see. What is essential is invisible with the eye. I can see the truth inside of me when I allow myself the time and the space to simply ask the question, what do I say about truth? What do I know about truth? What do I know about love? What do I say about love?" To allow the silence, just as the silence we have during the meditation, for our inner wisdom, our truth, our love notes to be revealed to us. So I want to leave you with the idea that lying doesn't make you a bad person because you lied. The tragedy of lying is that it creates a disconnection from the wisdom of my heart, from source energy, from God, Goddess, all that is. And it cuts me off from the wisdom that begins by being visible on the inside, that we sometimes experience as chills, that it's sometimes something that stays with us for me, for 60 decades. Oh, what a tangled web we weave when first we practice to deceive. So my invitation, since there are still a few more weeks of this month where there will be other speakers speaking of truth, is to explore what truth means to you, what truth feels like in your body when you express it. And if you're unsure of how to express it in a way that will increase the likelihood of sharing meaning with someone, call a buddy. Say, how does this sound to you? Does it make you want to lean in? Is it putting you on the defensive? Just help me with that. Because as truth seekers and truth tellers, it's good to have buddies along the way. My truth is, I love our New Thought community. Thank you.